2020 is almost over, thank God. So here's the time for my 2021 top 10 games I want to try out. Number 10 is Stewpot, a small indie storytelling game. It's available on itch.io. I put links to all my games in the description. Stewpot is interesting because you play a bunch of adventurers, but after their retirement and they've opened a tavern, they must prepare meals, but also they talk to current adventurers. It's a bunch of mini games. I think there are 14, and each one will have different story prompts to create a 3 to 4 hour experience. Number 9 is Anomaly, another storytelling game, collaborative, where you play a bunch of investigators researching an anomaly. It can be sci-fi, horror. You decide the time period, the genre of your story, and you use tarot cards. For each card, there are questions, story prompts, and there's also a list of actions, and depending on the card you pick, you can do different actions like introduce a new character, make the anomaly do something. It seems very simple but very effective. Number 8, two games with some of the same mechanics, Band of Blades and Blades in the Dark. Band of Blades is pretty well known now. You play thieves, bandits in a city, isolated in a kind of a force field surrounded by ghosts and lost souls. And you do both missions, jobs, and also you in the downtime organize your gang. There's a whole system to deal with all the factions in the city. As for Band of Blades, you manage an army as it tries to make its way to a city for a last stand. Things are not going well. What's unique is that you will play tons of different soldiers from different squads. People will die. You will play recruits, but also veterans. And there's a defined goal for the campaign, so it's gonna last 10 to 12 sessions. There's the even end game scoring, and the downtime part is where you play leaders of the army. So one player can manage the supplies, one will manage the spies, one will deal with selecting missions and squads. Looks fantastic, but both games, I'm not sure about the mechanics for resolving actions. It seems a little bit too crunchy for my taste. Number 7, Ironsworn, a game often used as a solo RPG. It could also be used as a classic RPG or as a collaborative RPG with no game master. It has some moves like in Powered by the Apocalypse games, but it's really quest driven. You swear these vows and they lead you from quest to quest. Number 6, I want to try a pastoral game, really a game far from monsters and combat and political manipulations. 3 come to mind: Wanderhome, which was kickstarted recently; Ryuutama, the Japanese classic, all about journeys, exploration. You can be a chef. you're not really adventurers, you're just wanderers and travelers. And the last one is Root. I love the board game, so I look forward to seeing what they do with this IP. Number 5, Masks and Legacy 2, powered by the Apocalypse game. I played Urban Shadows this year and it was amazing. Masks will be the opposite mood, teenagers trying to discover their identities. And Legacy introduces a long-term aspect. You have characters, but you also have factions, and you develop your faction over generations in a post-apocalyptic world. Number 4 is Dialect, a storytelling game where you tell the story of an isolated community, and you do that by exploring its language and the unique words it has created, and to define how it sees the world. It looks amazing. Maybe you have to find the right crowd of players, but it has won many prizes and I really want to try it out. Number 3, Free League games. I chose Alien and Tales from the Loop. Alien looks amazing with its cinematic mode, in addition to a campaign mode. In cinematic, you use pre-generated characters. They have hidden agendas that can change from act to act. It's for 2 or 3 sessions. You can expect to die and change characters to really experience the Alien experience. And Tales from the Loop, I love the TV series. It's kind of Stranger Things with kids in the 80s, but with weird science discoveries. There's a loop where adults are making experiments that always seem to cause a lot of problems. I could have selected other games by Free League. Everything they do is wonderful. I've played Vaesen this year, and I've even created content for that game, and their games are really inspiring. Number 2 is Spire. Go see my video on Art, another game with the same mechanics, almost identical, in the same world. Art is more horror. You explore like a dimension under the Spire, but in Spire it's a political game. You play freedom fighters, drow elves oppressed by the Elfir, the noble elves. Some would say that you are terrorists. It's all a question of perspective, but I think the mechanics developed by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard are excellent to drive the story forward. And my number 1 is Jiangshi. I missed the Kickstarter. I regret it, but I'll try to find a way to play. It's a game with some board game elements. There's a board, there are cards. You play a family of Chinese immigrants operating a restaurant in the day and fighting Jiangshi. I think it's a type of vampire, undead in the Chinese mythology. So during the day you prepare meals, you deal with racism in the neighborhood, and depending on how you do during the day, you will be prepared or have conditions affecting you when the night and the Jiangshi arrive. Looks amazing, and I hope I can talk about these games during the year.